Good afternoon. I'm Karen Powers from Aurora, Ontario, and I'm here today representing my daughter, Jeorgia, because she is too sick to be here herself, in the hopes that the government will listen and finally provide care for patients like her. Jeorgia has Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, and it has impacted her spine. She has craniocervical instability, or CCI. Jeorgia's neck isn't stable. When she moves her head or even shifts her body, she experiences a constellation of horrible and debilitating symptoms. She lives in constant pain. She requires urgent surgery to stabilize her spine. Jeorgia is 19 and has been completely bedridden for almost 3 years. Jeorgia's life can be measured by what has been taken from her. At 16 years old, she was in school with friends, plans, and independence. And then the day I won't ever forget, in grade 11, she called me from school in tears with severe head pain and a cluster of new symptoms. And that was the last day she was able to be upright. She never returned to school. That was May 1st, 2023. At 16 years old, Jeorgia had to leave her life behind because she can't sit or stand without severe pain. She's lost all of her independence, and her untreated conditions over 3 years have only worsened. She hasn't felt the sun on her face or a breeze on her skin in 3 years. Her friends are in their second year of university. But Jeorgia can't read, watch TV, or tolerate light or sound. She has no quality of life. Each year without care has narrowed her world further, from a full life to a single room to a single position in bed. This is what happens when treatment is delayed or denied. She is surviving, not living, but she's also fighting and not giving up, clinging to the hope that the care she needs will arrive. No parent should have to watch their child suffer and deteriorate like this, knowing that treatment exists but is out of reach. We paid for an assessment in the U.S. by a neurosurgeon who specializes in Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. She has a clear diagnosis, CCI, and a tethered spinal cord. This diagnosis is supported by imaging, but we have not been able to find a neurosurgeon in Ontario willing to assess or treat her. No one in Canada would even look at the upright MRI and measure it for themselves or assess it for themselves. She's been diagnosed in Ontario with a jugular compression caused by her vertebrae from the cervical instability. This obstructs outflow from her brain and causes her to have high intracranial pressure symptoms. This neurosurgeon who diagnosed this has no one to refer her to. She's also been diagnosed with spinal fluid leaks known to be caused by high pressure, but there's no one in Canada who will treat the underlying condition, so she has to live with all of this. We've taken her to 6 Ontario hospitals, both pediatric and adult, and each time we've wheeled her out of those hospitals in the same condition she arrived, bedridden, in extreme pain, and without care. She lies on hospital floors for appointments because she can't tolerate the pain of being upright, even for a few minutes. We've been told she's out of scope. We've been told by specialists they've never heard of her condition. Multiple times we've attempted to see a specialist for one of her conditions and have been told to take care of the other ones first. There is no one treating CCI for EDS patients in Canada, no one with the knowledge to evaluate her completely. There is no one who will take responsibility for her care. She is stuck in a loop. When medical care is not available in Canada, it's supposed to be available with the out-of-country care program. However, we can't apply for the out-of-country funding because of the structure of that system. When there's no physician treating a condition or accepting patients for the condition, equal to the surgery that you need in the U.S., there is no way to meet the criteria to apply. This is another loop preventing access to medical care. Jeorgia is unable to access any health care she desperately needs. This is not acceptable. This didn't have to happen to my daughter. Surgical treatment has been available in the U.S. for the entire time she's been sick. She could have had surgery in the beginning and continued her life. We have worked with our MPP, Michael Parsa, and multiple MPPs have raised this gap in care in legislature. I'm here today as part of the Advocacy Day at Queen's Park to speak about this gap. We're here today asking policymakers to act to create a pathway for neurosurgical access for patients with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome and to prevent other families from being left in the same position. It never had to be like this for Jeorgia, and it should not continue to be this way for others. A system change will not come soon enough for Jeorgia. She's getting worse, and she's getting weaker. She needs surgery, but the long delays have cost her and are going to make her recovery so much harder. Without surgery, she will continue to spend every minute bedridden, in pain, and continue to decline. She needs surgery soon before it no longer becomes a viable option for her. We have turned to a GoFundMe, but Jeorgia's health care should be taken care of by our healthcare system with predictability and reliability, not dependent on the charity of others. We currently have no other option. You'll be hearing next from 2 patients who were able to acquire their needed surgery in the U.S. and how they were able to recover and live their lives. This should be everybody's story. I'd like to introduce Erin.
My name is Erin Summers. I'm a patient from Toronto. I'm here today because I was living with craniocervical instability secondary to hypermobile Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, a connective